The New Zealand Railways Q class of 1901 were the first locomotives built as 462 Pacifics, a wheel arrangement that went on to become commonplace all over the world, including in the UK. But while Pacifics were common on 3 of the big 4 railway companies, the Great Western Railway only ever had one, number 111, the Great Bear. This absolute unit was brought to Train Simulator by Caledonia Works, and I've been meaning to get around to finishing this video for a long time, since I started writing the script in November 2024. The Great Bear was released for TS Classic in March 2020, and nearly 6 years later, she is still available from CW's website for £15, or around 33 New Zealand dollars. Like many of CW's products, the Great Bear was one of those locomotives that I already knew of but never expected to see in TS. She's also one of my favourite Great Western engines, on par with the 1400 class 042 tank, 7200 class 282 tank, 1366 class 060 pannier tank, and, to a lesser extent, the Castle class 460. As for the liveries included with the Great Bear, you get GWR 1908 to 1922 lined green, 1908 to 1922 unlined green, and 1923 lined green. As far as I can tell, the only difference between the 2 lined green variants is the crest on the tender. In an update released in April 2020, Mr. Wilson added some fictional liveries in the form of GWR 1945 to 1947 lined green, British Railways transitional lined green, and BR Express blue. Come to think of it, I wonder what the Great Bear would look like if she ever wore that early GWR green with Indian red frames. To be honest, I think she looks a little strange in BR blue, even if primarily because of the smokebox number plates being all 1s. In real life, the Great Bear did survive into BR ownership, but that was long after she had been rebuilt as a Castle Class 460 and renamed Viscount Churchill. You can get the rebuilt locomotive in TS as part of the Castle add-on from Precision Locomotive Developments. The Great Bear uses an older version of SimNation scripting, Locomotion 1.3 to be specific, so she doesn't have the more advanced features of Locomotion 2.0 to which I have become well accustomed. As for what this locomotive does have, this includes, but is not limited to, numerous cab camera views, .3D firebox and coal, animated valve gear inside the frames, dynamic exhaust particles that change depending on the season, Performance Mode Pro, which is toggled with Shift P, a working water scoop, lowered with T and raised with Shift T, and fire intensity synchronized with the exhaust beat. I'm not sure what locomotive Steam's Sounds Supreme recorded the Great Bear's audio from, but if I recall correctly, it's a different sound set from what you hear on other GWR steamers from Victory Works and Caledonia Works that were released prior to the Big Pacific. CW add-ons typically don't include scenarios, and the Great Bear is no exception. Curiously, there is only one requirement for her quick-drive consists, in the form of the GWR Concertina coaches. These things were brought to TS by Matrix Trains, and are currently available on his Ko-fi store. You'll need the pack labelled as Sets 1 and 2 for these quick-drive consists. In her original Pacific configuration, GWR No. 111 had a severely limited route availability, and generally only ran between London Paddington and Bristol. As far as I know, there isn't a steam-era London to Bristol route in TS, but I dare say someone will correct me if I'm wrong. A few years ago, I took this locomotive on an endurance test from Castle Douglas to Newton Stewart, a steeply graded 29.9 mile long section of Western Lines of Scotland. While she did a decent job at tackling most of the inclines, I remember having to stop and drop 2 coaches on the 1 in 60 climb from Big Water of Fleet Viaduct to Gatehouse of Fleet Station. As part of this review in early 2026, and seeing as I think I've gotten better at driving steam locomotives over the years, I thought I would do that endurance run again. On this occasion, I was using 7, lucky 7, GWR Dreadnought coaches. Like the Concertinas, these ones were modelled by Matrix Trains. According to the manual, the Great Bear's ideal fire mass is between 800 and 900 pounds on the F5 heads-up display, or between 60 and 65% on the F4 HUD, while the water level should be kept between 80 and 90% on the F4 HUD. This run reminded me of the time when I ran 8019 FW Hawksworth CME on this same section, and that cathedral romped away up the inclines without breaking a sweat. As for how the Great Bear performed on this run to Newton Stewart, well, for one thing, I found that, when the engine's working hard, you have to shovel coal reasonably frequently in order to maintain the ideal fire mass. She still has decent acceleration and steaming ability, even at a high cut-off of around 50 to 40%, but you should wind the reverser back to 35% or lower once you reach 52 miles per hour. She was doing 72 miles per hour by the time she got to the Lockken viaduct, and didn't lose too much speed on the climb to New Galloway station, but as I thought would happen, she struggled to accelerate on gradients steeper than 1 in 100, even when she had lots of steam. As is often the case when you're driving a steam locomotive in Train Simulator, it can be challenging to get the regulator and reverser settings right in order to increase or maintain speed without losing too much boiler pressure. Incidentally, injecting water on the move, and with the regulator open, didn't use as much steam as I thought it would. In the end, and despite having to deal with gradients as steep as 1 in 60, the Great Bear still made it to Newton Stewart without stopping, and her boiler pressure never drops below 200 psi. Luckily, the signalman at Creetown wasn't being a knob this time. At the end of the day, and despite her lacking newer features of Locomotion 2.0, I've still got a lot of time for this rendition of the Great Western Railway's only 462 Pacific. The same goes for Caledonia Works products in general, and I say that because I believe that they are well made, but neither too easy nor too difficult to drive. The really advanced engines from other developers, such as, for a random example, the LNWR G2 class from Mesh Tools, are, in all honesty, not my cup of tea. Much like the Northeastern Railway Raven A2, I've known of the Great Bear for many years thanks to a book about British Pacifics that I remember reading during my high school days. It's probably one of the few happy memories I've got from those days. Anyway, before anyone brings it up in the comments, yes, I am aware of the irony of not using a single GWR area route in a video about a Great Western locomotive. Why I set the video up in the way I did is anyone's guess. As for where I'd rate this 6-year-old add-on from CW, I'll settle for 7.2 out of 10. And for anyone who has stuck around to the end of the video, you win spray-free fruit sold by a member of the cars. It's the Benjamin Organics